The Yu-Gi-Oh! Misconception series, where we take a close look at misconceptions that even competitive players and judges have on card text, game mechanics, rulings, and policies.
What's up, YouTube? I'm Vaughn, and today we are looking at the misconceptions of public knowledge. Now, we are taking a good look of public knowledge that has to occur with game states, card text, and even ruling during the gameplay. Now, for the game state, cards that are considered to be public knowledge is face-up cards on the field, out of player's graveyard, face-up banished, and face-up extra deck that are usually pendulum monsters. Now, anywhere else besides these specific places is private knowledge. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what about cards that are temporarily revealed or temporary public knowledge? Well, it does not exist. No card is temporary public knowledge because as soon as it goes in any of these areas, it is now private knowledge. Even though if you and your opponent are aware what the card is, it is still private knowledge. Example, if I activate Reinforcements of the Army and I switch Elemental Hero Stratos to my hand. Now, the Reinforcements of the Army will go to the graveyard, so it's still retained as public knowledge, but the Stratos is now private knowledge. So my opponent cannot later on ask for confirmation of what Stratos is in my hand or if it's still retaining in my hand, because that's no longer public knowledge. Now, we do understand during remote duels, if someone's camera is not good quality, you might want confirmation just to confirm what was added in their hand, but there is a specific time limit for you to do so, because if your opponent starts playing other interaction or other cards as well, or changes phases, it is way too late to ask for confirmation. And your opponent is no longer obligated or even allowed to ask for that information. Now for card text. Now, a lot of people have the misconception that to know a card text has to be relevant to the game, which is actually wrong. All players have complete public knowledge of every single card text of every Yu-Gi-Oh card. So it could be even the levels, the attack, the defense. Every card is public knowledge. Now, you do not have to have the card to be based in the gameplay or even relevant to the game. If you want to read any card text of any card, you are allowed. Now, the only thing that might be suspicious is if you are asking the judges, or even now in remote duels that you could just look it up yourself. If you're doing that constantly, then you might get some penalties about for stalling or even slow playing, because that is kind of suspicious if you keep on reading cards that has nothing to do with the game. But you are allowed to read any card you like, even if it's not relevant to your game. Next, we have rulings. Now, one thing for sure, the game mechanic of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is definitely public knowledge. The policies is public knowledge as well. But cards interacting with other cards and rulings based on those, that is not public knowledge. You cannot ask any player or judge for any rulings of card interacting with other cards until it actually occurs in the game. Because if they answer it, that would be coaching. So that is one thing that is definitely different, was it's not public knowledge to know the interaction of cards with cards. And the only time that you have to clarify with a judge is if it's actually occurring at the moment. So no player or judge could answer prior to that. And the judge would tell you if the activation is legal or explanation of why it's legal. And that's all our misconception we have of public knowledge. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you guys want a sneak peek of future products we're going to plan to review on this channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Misconception series.